Do you really know who you are? That's the question I have for you and for all of us today. Hello, everyone. My name is Paola Castro, and I'm substituting my dear friend, John Jacob. And today I have a very juicy topic for you in this beautiful Facebook Live called Walking the Path. And I have named it, Who Are You? And in the next few minutes, I'm going to get to the heart of the matter and be able to answer this question or support you in answering this question. And not only that, also tell you why is it important to know who we are, who we really are. How is that going to support you in your life, especially when you're going through difficult moments, especially as you're going through crisis. And as you know, at Rythmia, this beautiful retreat center, people go for a week and they do plant medicine. And through the power of plant medicine, is very, it can be confrontational sometimes if you think you are what you're not. And through this healing modality that we call plant medicine, you are able to go deeper and deeper into the truth of who you are. Now, again, the question of this Facebook Live is, who are you? Do you know who you are? And I'm going to explain to you why is this important to know and how this can support you from this moment on. Not a mistake, not a coincidence that you decided to say, yes, I'm going to watch that. So I just want to say a couple of things. I am in Costa Rica, and I'm also substituting this week. Kim stand with Terra Nova, teaching the answers you, and it's been a lot of fun being here. And what I really wanted to say is that it's raining a lot in Costa Rica. We're in the rainy season. We just went through Hurricane Julia, and the internet goes in and out. So if my internet goes off, I will be back in a couple of moments. So wait for me, but hopefully in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we'll stay focused in today's topic. So who are you? And I'm going to start with a story that I never get tired of saying. And this story is of a woman that dies unexpectedly and she goes to heaven. And in heaven, she knocks on the doors of heaven, and St. Peter comes out with a huge book. Now, I'm using, language from the Christian tradition, but not to get confused if this is anything about that. But bear with me in this story. So she knocks on the doors of heaven. St. Peter comes out with a huge book and says to this woman, "Woman, who are you?" And remember, she died unexpectedly. And this woman looks at St. Peter and said, "Oh, well, my name is Teresa." And St. Pedro looks back at Teresa and said, "Well, no, Teresa, I didn't ask your name. I asked you, who are you?" And she said, "Well, I know you said you didn't want my name, but I'm Teresa, and I'm 45 years old, and I live in Los Angeles, California." And then St. Peter, very respectful, looks at her and says, "No, Teresa, I didn't ask where you live or how old are you. I ask you, who are you?" And then she thinks a little deeper and she's like, "Well, I'm a lawyer and I work for this big firm. I'm also a mother of two beautiful children. I'm also the wife of so and so." And lo and behold, St. Peter looks at her and said, "Woman, I didn't ask you what you did for a living. I didn't ask you your mother off. I didn't ask who you're married to. I asked you, who are you?" And she looked down and she said, "You know what? I don't know. I don't know who I am. If none of that is who I am and you keep asking who I am and I don't know what to say, then there's something here that I'm missing." And St. Peter looks at her and said, "Go back to earth, figure it out." Now, this is kind of like an interesting story based on, a couple of Christian symbols. But the point of the metaphysical essence of what I'm telling you is that many times in life we are confronted with this question. And when are we confronted with this question? Usually when you go through a divorce, usually when you had all these plans for your life, you worked really hard at your job, you did what you thought a few years ago that that's what you wanted to do, and then you arrive at your destination and you're still dissatisfied. Perhaps this question is confronted to you when you're in a period of healing and you realize that there are all these patterns that you're holding on, that there is anxiety, that there is trauma there. And you dig and dig, and it's just this sense of overwhelm, like, oh my God, I just opened a Pandora box. Am I all of this? You're confronted with the question, who are you, when maybe you go to the doctor and you get the results back and it's not positive. Some people when they turn 40, some people when they turn 50. There are many ways in which life is inviting us to really ask this question. Now, let me go to the second part of this video and this beautiful quick message that I have for you today. Why is this important to know who we are? It is important in my own experience because when we don't know who we are, we tend to attach our identity to a false belief of who we are. And usually this false beliefs comes from society. We tend to believe that we are what we do, our careers, that we are how we look, our body temples, that we are our age, that we are our partners, our romantic partners, that we are our community, that we are. So all of these things, we're not denying that they are an important aspect of our reality, and it's not who you are. Because if, let's say, tomorrow you were to change nationalities, or for whatever reason, your spouse or your boyfriend and girlfriend say, I'm so sorry, our season is over. Or, you wake up one morning, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, ooh, I'm not looking 15 anymore. I can see a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 60-year-old body there. I see my aging. When those things happen and that identity is shaken, if we don't know who we are, we can spiral down into hell. Now, hell is not a place somewhere down there with fire and a guy with horns. Hell is a state of consciousness, the same as heaven is a state of consciousness. And so when we don't know who we are and life challenges us, which I feel very strongly in my heart, that those challenges that come into our lives, the breakup, the hurt, the disappointment, the job that is not working, all these little things, discomforts that we live in life, if we see it from the lenses of love, it's almost like life is nudging us and saying, hey, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? And it keeps nudging us and nudging us. And sometimes because we fail to see who we truly are, we fall into the identity of, I am the victim. I am the, poor me. This is happening to me. We fall into the trap of believing that we're our patterns, the patterns that we learned when we were 7 or 6 years old. And then it gets very hopeless over there. That's why I'm going to call that today hell. We go into hell. Because then we get stuck in a loop of just regurgitating our stories of victimization. Or we get more controlling. We just start controlling everything and everyone. And it could be exhausting. So who are you? Who are you? And this answer, I'm going to give you words. I'm going to give you suggestions and, to kind of play with who you are. And at the end of the day, you have to find it inside of yourself. That's why I love the name of this Facebook Live that JJ has, Walking the Path. As we're walking the path of integration, walking the path of walking the talk, We get to practice stillness. We get to practice going within and asking this question: who am I? What am I? Where am I? A little bit of existential questions, but very needed. Because when you find in the stillness of your heart, when you're still and you go inside and you ask, who am I? And then you all of a sudden have that beating heart, and then you notice that your breath comes in and out of you. And then you relax and surrender into the present moment. You start getting glimpses of who you are. Oh, maybe I am a cosmic being that was never born and will never die. I am love. There is a love that is in me, that I can feel it there. I have not a specific reason. I mean, we can find reasons in this life, but we start finding, there's joy in there, there's peace. And then you start finding qualities that are not attached to your relationships, that are not attached in how well your job is doing and how much money you're making. When we start finding that stillness inside of ourselves, we find these qualities that are eternal: love, beauty, creativity, joy, oneness. Now, I know it might sound a little philosophical for some of you if you've never gone that deep, but I'm here to be a voice of hope, a voice of good news, to tell you today that you are not your worry, you are not your doubt, you are not your anxiety, you are not your depression, you are not whatever is that the psychiatrist said to you. You're not that. You are an eternal cosmic being that was never born, it will never die, and has never been touched by any of the human experiences. And when I say touch, I mean broken or corrupted or, broken. I would say that word. At a very beautiful, fundamental level, you're still whole, perfect, and complete. I know you've heard John Jacob talking about this before, and today I'm coming from my own perspective, my own voice, still in the same congruency of this message. John Jacob and myself, we are spiritual practitioners, licensed spiritual practitioners from Agape, which is a spiritual center at Los Angeles, founded by Michael Bernard Beckwith. And through these studies, we learn to give counseling to people, or to give a message in a class or in a Facebook Live from that truth of who we truly, truly are. We're not denying our human experience. We're not denying that we go through deep experiences sometimes that are difficult. But what we're knowing is that we're going to aim at all times to realize who we truly are. And here's another thing. When we realize who we are, we keep our first eye open. They call it the third eye, but at Agape, we call it the first eye. Your intuition, you keep it open. So when you're having a difficult day, when you're going through your healing process, and you see everything that, because sometimes it's a bit like, whoa, there's so much in there, that you don't identify with the content that you find in your conscious. You don't identify with the patterns. You don't identify with diagnosis. You identify with your awareness. I am that loving awareness, just like Ram Dass called it. I love that movie, Going Back Home. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. And then you get to be the observer. And the healing happens in a more graceful way. We still have to go through the healing process, but it happens in a more graceful way. If you're thinking of coming to Rythmia, plant medicine, it's a wonderful tool to get there a little faster. Now, it doesn't mean that after you do the plant medicine, that's it. You continue to do your work. And when I have participated in plant medicine ceremonies, it's almost like I can't deny it, because you get to see it. It's a visceral experience of the truth of who you are. And once you see it, you can unsee it. Once you see it, you can unsee it. So here are the numbers if you want to book to come to Rythmia. It's a wonderful, magical place. I am very honored to teach when Reverend Kim Stanwood Terranova needs me. I am very honored when JJ said, Paola, can you do Walk in the Path Facebook Live? So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with me today. And I will see you next Thursday as I will continue to cover for JJ as he is in some travels right now. Have a beautiful, blessed day, and I will see you next